I'd like to call tonight's regular meeting of the Salto School District Board of Trustees to order. A recording and or broadcast of this meeting is being made at the direction of the board, which may capture images and sounds of those attending the meeting. I will now call the roll. Brian?
Present.
Vladimir?
Here.
Jim?
Here.
Stella? Here. And I, Shelley Cirque, am here as well. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you. All right. Would any board members like to provide comment on tonight's agenda? Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Vladimir. May I have a second? I'll second. Thank you, Stella. All right, motion to approve tonight's agenda as presented was made by Vladimir, seconded by Stella. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. Closed session report. No action was taken in closed session tonight. Superintendent's update.
All right, hello, I have just a quick update because I know we have a full meeting tonight. I just wanted to thank you and thank folks. Our LASD Education Partners Group had a really great back to school campaign that has been in play for the last month as school started. Last week was Rally Week across all 9 schools, and if you had the opportunity to kind of experience Rally Week, I think in all the campaign has been very successful, based on increased engagement across the board. We're excited to gather this Friday with the PTA presidents and LAF leadership to really kind of debrief how the campaign went for the back to school campaign. But it's terrific. And if you don't know anything about it, there was a nice article in the Town Crier last week as well. And then just wanted to share, you know, I go to my monthly challenge team meeting, which is that great meeting focused on the youth within our cities. And this past meeting, we heard from, she goes by Dr. Bonnie, but I thought we should use her last name too, Dr. Bonnie Halpern-Felsher, who is, she runs the Stanford Reach Lab, which is solely focused on adolescent health. And, she gave a great update to the group on kind of the state of things as far as vaping, e-cigarettes, tobacco, alcohol. Her group develops curriculum that is the latest and greatest research-based curriculum. So I know Claire Crane was there as well. And we'll be connecting with our junior high school health teachers to make sure that we're using the latest and greatest resources available to us to make sure that our kids are having healthy behaviors in school and outside of school. That challenge team is really a terrific meeting. That's it for me.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna move on to the consent calendar. Are there any questions from board members on tonight's consent agenda? No? And I don't see any requests for public comment. No? Right. Then may I please have a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented?
So moved.
Thank you, Vladimir. May I have a second? I'll second. Thank you, Stella. Motion to approve tonight's consent agenda as presented was made by Vladimir and seconded by Stella. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. Employee request to address the board from our Los Altos Teachers Association. Alex Schroeder.
Hello, good evening. Good to see you guys. Welcome back to a new school year. Gosh, I was thinking a lot about what I wanted to say. It's my first time talking to you guys this year, and thinking a lot about the beginning of the year and just our role as educators, right? I always sit first in that role of educator before union president, and just the relationships that you built in the beginning of the year and the importance of those relationships. Like, our students aren't just one isolated person in our classroom. They have their family attached to them. And that's so important, right? Getting to know their family. They have their previous teachers. We build knowledge through any other support staff they work with. Like, this one person comes with so many people that it's really important to get to know just so that we can make the right decision for them, right? And that's a lot of work we do in the beginning of the year, is getting to know our kids really, really well. And then I was thinking my role as LATA president, and something that I really try to do in the beginning of the year is to get to know not just my members, like that's crucial, to get out to sites, to get to see my members, to talk to them, to find out what's important to them, but then also all the other members that play into our union, rebuilding those relationships with district management that we partner with so closely. And in addition to that, with you guys as the board. And so I want to really start out my message this year with saying, like, we want to make sure we're building really strong partnerships with all of the groups that really make decisions for and with us as educators, and most importantly, the students that we serve. That's really, really important to us. And it's really important for us to know who our board members are, and for our board members to know us as the association, as educators, as leaders in this really important group in our district. I mean, the Teachers Association, the Teachers Union is an incredibly important group, and we've worked closely when it came to passing propositions. You see how much the community really listens to all of us. So what I'd love to encourage and start with is, I just want to say that we're going to be continuing to push forward and really wanting to build a relationship with all of you, getting to know each of you, inviting each of you into some of our rep council meetings, just so that we can learn about who you are and you can see who we are. Because ultimately, just like when we make decisions for our students, we want to know everybody that surrounds them and builds their culture. And so our hope is that as we go into negotiations, that when you guys are making decisions towards the end of that, that you're really knowing us too. And that's a really important piece for us. So thank you guys so much for this evening, and I'm sure we'll see you around.
Great,
All
thanks,
right,
Alex.
thank you.
Right, for the California School Employees Association, Kim Fletcher.
Oh, well, today was the first day of full day TK, so I thought it'd be a great time to highlight some of the work that the TK and kindergarten aides do. I think a lot of people think of them as just kind of being in the classroom, probably helping a teacher here and there, but the work they do is a lot deeper. And so as they were doing half days there with those teachers, getting to know, going over those class lists, how are we gonna support this kid tomorrow? This kid had a rough day today. What are we gonna do next? I'm gonna do this, you're gonna do that, we're gonna bring in the principal, let's talk about it. And they're doing the usual prep things while also thinking behind their heads, I see this kid over here is starting to struggle. Let me go and intercede so the teacher doesn't have to stop teaching. And that's the thing that I've seen over and over again being in kindergarten classrooms, is that kindergarten aide, TK aide is there to allow that teacher to shine and do the teaching. And they're in the background just smoothing the way in front of them. And it really just makes a well-run classroom run so much better when you have those amazing people in there. It's been really fun hearing about some of the new aides moving to TK and getting to have the full time and learning about our youngest people, because they in particular bring a whole new level of challenges, experience, expertise. And then also just wanted to highlight what an intense job it is. I started as a sub for kindergarten aides, and holy moly, I'm probably was still as equally tired from a 4-hour shift as a kindergarten aide as I am in the office after 8 hours, because you are on for the whole 4 hours. There is no stopping because you're doing yard duty in between. It is just one of the most intense jobs. And while our families greatly appreciate it, I think sometimes they get left in their little kinderland bubble and not everyone else gets to hear about really the amazing work and the amazing rapport they make with our families. I still have a lovely relationship with my kids kindergarten age, just because they really did make our welcome so wonderful. And it was such a great relationship that I still get excited to see her and share how my kids are doing, because they really are just part of our children's community and really build that wonderful experience for our youngest learners. So thank you.
Thanks, Kim. Right. To provide public comment on an agenda item, speaker cards are to be submitted to the superintendent. Speaker cards will not be accepted once public comment begins. Your name will be announced when it is your turn to speak. Community comments. This time is reserved for members of the public and employees to address the board on items that are not on the agenda. The board is not permitted to discuss or take action on non-agenda items, except to instruct the superintendent to review the matter further, report back to the board at a subsequent meeting, or place the matter on a future agenda. The board may make a brief comment or ask clarifying questions. Do we have any public comment? No? Okay, seeing none, closing public comment. Moving on to action and discussion items. The Board of Trustees will review and discuss the schematic design for the San Antonio campus. If anyone would like to provide public comment on this item, please submit a specific card.
Do you want to do the intro or do you want me to?
I can do the trick.
Okay. go for it.
So, the district is excited tonight to provide an update on the schematic design. The last time the design build team came was in June, and we, gave a lot of direction, and some had some questions, and, where should we put things and move things around. The design team has been working hard pretty much all summer, and so that tonight we're gonna have, Amber is here with Block Construction, Aaron Jobson and Nick Stephenson with Kotraki Quack Architects, and they're gonna provide an update for the San Antonio campus. So hand off to Nick.
Sure, I know how to work this. Good evening. It's really nice to be back here to see you all again. I'm Nick Stephenson, we have Eric Jobson, Amber Emery, so you know which face goes with the name. But yeah, we are excited. We have, as Eric said, been eagerly working on this all summer and having a great deal of fun with it. A lot of work to be done, but we want to show you where we've gotten since the last time we left off. I'll talk a little bit about that piece of the puzzle, then I'll hand it off to Aaron to talk about the classroom proper and all that portion of the campus and the Folia buildings specifically. And then I'll talk a little bit about the custom buildings, the NPR and the gymnasium. And then, of course, Amber will have all the heavy lifting, talking about all the business end of things. So getting into it, this is a slide just to kind of capture where we left off when we met last time. You may recall that we talked a lot about different scenarios and different configurations of these Folia buildings. 2-story, 1-story, L-shaped, not L-shaped, things of that nature. What's been consistent through all that, of course, was the gymnasium and the NPR building being needed. We're still carrying the locker room, as you'll see, and both locker rooms and the amenities until we know more about the campus. So that's all built into it at this point. We left off with agreeing to go with 3 2-story Folia buildings. So that's what's illustrated here. This is a representation of one of the slides we saw. What that will provide is enough classrooms so that there's 2 classrooms for every grade, starting with TK all the way up through 8th grade and special ed. That'll also give us 4 what we call flex rooms to kind of sculpt and mold as you need with the curriculum that we'll be working with, and then 3 unassigned rooms. The idea there, those could be other flex rooms, or you may pivot and make different kind of loading capacity issue that you want to address at that time. So that's what we agreed on last time, about 600 kids worth of capacity, 2 classrooms per grade, okay? All right, now we get more into the fun stuff. This is the overall site plan, just to refresh your memory. This corner here is the corner that's going to become the public park, that's outside of our scope of work. This is the the ball fields, that's going to be the joint use area, as is this building E, and F is the toilet room building and storage building for the fields. E is the gymnasium locker room building, and then the blacktop here. All that is the stuff that's gonna be kind of the joint use stuff as we understand it. So, and then the bottom half of the site, of course, is what I call the campus proper, but the parking lot, the gymnasium, the multi-use room, and then of course the classroom buildings. And at this point, I'll turn it over to Aaron. He's gonna talk to you about our concepts for the site design and how each of these little L-shaped kind of courtyards play into the concept for the indoor-outdoor interaction in spaces. And then he'll get into the Folia buildings for you a little bit.
Thanks, Nick. Right, so kind of zooming in a bit on the site plan. The parking lot, there's the gym. One of the things we're always trying to do with outdoor spaces on elementary school or school campuses in general is kind of balance a bunch of different needs, right? So we want them to provide spaces for outdoor learning, we want them to provide spaces for student gathering, for quiet, contemplative space for students, but also very active spaces for play structures and games and all of that kind of stuff, and do that in a way that's easily supervised as well. So the way we've used these 3 L-shaped buildings is to kind of create a few intersecting spaces that are a little bit more private, and then that connect out to the more public space. And we have kind of the additional kind of complexity here of the joint use piece and kind of all of these things coming together. So with the 3 buildings, building A here across A, B, and C, Across the first floor of those buildings, we've spread the little kid classrooms, so the TKK first and second grade classrooms, as well as the admin and the library, and then some of the support classrooms as well. And so with that, we have a TK kinder play area here as kind of one of those first courtyards, so that's right near the admin, right near the entry. We know a lot of times parents will come and drop their kids off directly into that playground, so we want that to be easy to access as well. And easy to kind of not secure necessarily, but sort of corral the children at that age. So that's kind of the most protected courtyard there. And then as we make our ways around, there's kind of more of an outdoor gathering courtyard, lots of large trees and like access to nature for students. And then further around, more of an outdoor learning courtyard with a couple of shade structures as well to provide shaded outdoor space for students as well. And then kind of making our way through this space, which is kind of our covered outdoor eating area. And that also provides kind of the main connection out to the playground. And so this is the play structure for the bigger kids, and then out to the asphalt play area, and then eventually all the way out to the fields. So kind of that flow of different spaces, but also a lot of connection between those spaces so they can be pretty easily supervised. Maybe not the whole thing from one spot, but the whole thing from a couple of spots. If you have, someone here, they can view all of this space. Someone over here, they can view the rest of the space, and they can communicate a little bit with each other too. So that's kind of the overall site plan. And now, as I mentioned, the admin is here, the library is here, and then we'll kind of go through the floor plans of each one, but I'll kind of give you, you'll see them in isolation, so kind of see how they fit together. And as I said, on the first floor are the little kids, and then the bigger kids are on the upper floor of each building. So the first floor of building A, we have the admin here. So we're showing a lobby here with a canopy that extends across the front and around the side. And that provides our kind of secure point of entry, that you come in here, there's a reception desk, you can get let into the rest of the campus through here too. And then it has all of our support spaces with nurse's office and restrooms, principal's office, support staff offices, a workroom. And then making our way around the corner, here are the two TK classrooms. So the TK kinder classrooms are a little bit bigger and have their own dedicated restroom to align with the CDE guidelines for kindergarten classrooms. And then here we're using kind of some of the space in between those classrooms to provide a staff room as well. So that'll have a kitchenette in it, and there is both a lactation room and a staff restroom adjacent to there as well. And then the second TK classroom here. And then you can see kind of the stairs here going upstairs to the second floor, and the elevator in the kind of, we call kind of the knuckle of where the L comes together there. On the second floor, in this case, we have grades 3 and 4 classrooms. These are set up to be double classrooms that have an operable partition between them. So they allow the opportunity for just a little bit more flexibility in team teaching there. All of the classrooms have flat panel displays, have cabinets with sinks in them, kind of working through exactly what goes on in the interior of those classrooms, but planning for some of those amenities already, as we're so pretty early in the process. And then on this building on the second floor, there's an art classroom. And then we have one of the special education classrooms here too. And that's kind of one of the special ed flex classrooms that we could move around which programs are assigned to which place. From an infrastructure standpoint, they're all very similar. And then this is kind of initial exterior elevations of what these buildings will look like. So we're looking at, these are really our kind of first pass. And as we get into this, there's a lot of opportunity to fine tune this and refine the look, but playing with some different textures of cement plaster across the bulk of the building in a relatively neutral kind of earth tone, and then accenting that with some panels of metal panel and maybe fiber cement panels as well, and then bringing in some colored accent with the canopies that you can see here as well. Kind of tying that together, providing accents for the entry areas as a wayfinding tool, but also to bring visual interest to the buildings overall. So this is that same building looking from a different direction, and kind of showing those different pieces. And then here's a rendering. We'll show a few renderings. These are pretty schematic, as is the nature of where we're at, but early on in the process, so we still have kind of a little bit of a sketchy vibe to them. But just to give you an idea of what these spaces will start to feel like. So this is actually looking kind of at the side of building A. This is the main entry. There's the parking lot beyond. This is kind of an initial idea of what that canopy might look like. And then there's that main lobby, and so we've added some extra glass on that side looking out, so there's really good supervision of that point of entry into the campus, and it's also a welcoming and inviting entry for parents. There's another view kind of looking down that avenue that leads out to the playground, kind of back into that area. So you see kind of a hint of what, really just a suggestion there is a playground there. We haven't gotten to choosing playground equipment and things like that yet. But that would be kind of where that TK kinder playground is. And you can see the second floor walkway going around to the building here, and then there's that main entry there too. And then this is the covered outdoor eating area that extends off of the MPR. On building B, so making our way around the corner, on the first floor here are 2 kindergarten classrooms, so still pretty close to where that playground is right here. And then there's a flex space between that, and that can be a great space for like an RSP or other special education support staff, or it could be configured for offices, any number of things as well. And you see there's custodial and some storage space there as well, and then the restroom for the kindergarten classroom. And then the same thing over here, so we have a restroom here kind of tucked behind the elevator there. And then we have our grade 1 classrooms, very similar to what we saw on the second floor of the other building, where there is a double classroom with an operable partition between it. And your storage and tech wall and displays within that. And then we have one of those flex classrooms. You suggested this might be a good spot for like a makerspace kind of classroom. It's pretty centrally located on the campus. It can be accessed by all the students because it's on the ground floor. But kind of those exact uses and what we need in each of those spaces are one of the things that we'll dial in as we go forward. So, second floor of this building is another flex classroom here. And then here we have the grade 5 and 6 classrooms, and then another one of those kind of unassigned flex classrooms here to give extra flexibility. You'll see we have some of these are called breakout spaces, and those are really kind of small conference room spaces that are connected to both classrooms to provide a spot to do pull-out instruction, but that can still be supervised by the teachers in those classrooms as well. And then moving around to building C. So the end of this building has the library. And so that's about a little less than 3,000 square foot space all together. And we have kind of an open main library space with the circulation desk and kind of a reading area, and then a little bit more private enclosed kind of stacks area off of that. So it gives a lot of flexibility in how this space is used. If we're bringing a whole class or even 2 classes in there to do a presentation or things like that, sometimes you may even want to use these 2 parts of it separately. And again, this is kind of an initial pass that we will dial in more as we go forward as well. There's a little office book repair room here, and then we have kind of a larger breakout space here for larger groups. Could be student groups that are meeting to get to work on a project together, or a staff member working with a small group of students. And then we have the second grade classrooms, and then another one of those flex classrooms. In this case, we're suggesting maybe a music classroom on the end here. And then going up to the second floor of building C, we have the grade 7 and 8 classrooms, and here we're suggesting a science classroom as one of those flex classrooms to support, especially the middle school grades, and then one more unassigned classroom down below. And then here's kind of a quick courtyard view, so kind of looking back across to building A. This is kind of between buildings B and C. You can see the arrow there. So kind of looking across that courtyard, you can kind of get a sense of the interconnected spaces there, looking back towards the entry, the TK Kinder playground there, and then the kind of balconies with where the bigger kids are, kind of overlooking those spaces as well.
Okay. Thanks. Me.
Forgot to mention, you guys can interrupt us at any.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to get some.
Yes, sir.
The second floor, are there any restrooms on the second floor?
Let's see.
That are not staff or students or?
I think we are still working through some of the
Yeah.
restrooms as well. There's been some more discussions about placement of
There
the.
seem to be a lot of staff restrooms there.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I think we've had some different discussions about where and how the student restrooms might want to be distributed, and that kind of connects to one of the things we've been talking to too, is like, should we have bridges between all these buildings so you could move between the second floors of all of them or not? And that obviously adds a little bit of extra cost, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but gives a little more flexibility as far as the circulation. of the student.
Okay. Accessibility to those restrooms. So, I'm going to talk now about the custom buildings, not fully those, but the specific site built buildings. So this first building is built on the floor plan for the multi-use building. So, again, as Aaron mentioned, it's on the site right here, and this little avenue here is the outdoor eating areas. We've got shown in the dash line, and you'll see in the renderings, it's quite a nice overhang to the building to provide some shaded outdoor area that's directly off of the assembly room of the NPR. And we connect that with a number of double doors and even a couple of roll-up doors right now, so that could really be an integrated indoor-outdoor space if you wanted to. Perhaps the guest entry might be here, it's the entry that faces the parking lot, so that could be where people come and experience the entry to the building. Over here, we have public or student restrooms. We've designed this little alcove in a manner such that when people are using the building, they can access the restrooms. But also there's a door here and creates a little alcove so that if you wanted to lock that door, then this is accessible to the students on the playground or what have you, whenever they want, but it still provides some sort of control as to who gets into this space and when, as far as when you want to do that. So that's kind of the concept behind this little alcove here. We've provided at this point ample storage for folding chairs, perhaps folding tables, and whatever else may be needed. And we know more programmatically what's required. So there's storage dedicated to the multi-use room. There's a small platform right now, and it includes a ramp up to it, which is a code requirement now. So there'll be a ramp. And we're looking right now at the front of the stage to be stairs. So it'd be 2 steps up, but it's kind of a cool little amenity. We've seen a lot of elementary schools in particular where kids can sit on there, and that could be like one class gathering to talk or present, or they can stand there and use them as risers, or you can go all the way up to the stage and kind of use the stage as you would imagine. There's storage in the back of the stage dedicated to whatever you may need, be it stage props or band equipment or what have you. So that's kind of the initial concepts there. There'll be a certain allotment of audiovisual and lighting that we would prescribe here that's not yet outfitted yet, but you know, for a middle school to elementary school multi-use room with the stage, what kind of lighting and audiovisual controls do we want to have? We're going to go ahead and then outfit it with some of those things, projection screen, etc., curtains. And right now it's just not shown yet. Directly adjacent to that, we have the warming kitchen, which as we understand is designed to serve an outdoor serving window. And then amenities, bathroom, office, and dry storage for that certain kitchen area. And the idea of perhaps kids could get their lunch here and make their way to the eating area so that there's not too much congestion at the door, but we need to resolve that area. We need to keep the kitchen in an area that's easily accessed for deliveries and also easily accessed for students. So this is a work that may well be in progress as we know more about how the flow of the campus will be. Moving forward. These are the exterior elevations of the building. So the first thing I want to point out is, and you can see it in the side elevations, this is all outdoor space. This vertical line here is a column capturing the long overhanging roof. And you see it again down here. So this is the outdoor eating area. You can imagine tables here. And these 2 elevations, the north elevation, the south elevation, you can really see the shadow, hopefully illustrating the kind of shaded area that we would create for you. It's actually, this is the back of it. So these are the roll-up doors, and these are the 2 entry doors that would face where all the tables are. These are the doors into the restrooms that we talked about earlier. This is the back or the north face facing the gymnasium. So this will be the serve-grade window for now and entry to the kitchen. And then same sort of materiality that Aaron talked about, using softer tones for the plaster and perhaps highlighting it with some colored metal panel or cement plaster. Again, trying to keep it somewhat neutral until we know more about what your goals are. Maybe you really want a bright, colorful campus, but we'll find out about that as we move forward. But we want to provide opportunities for both highlights as well as nice natural zones. This is a view looking kind of from the kindergarten area toward the dining area, right? So this is the 7th and 8th grade building wing up here. And this is the library right here. And then we're looking over here. This is the outdoor eating area. The public entrance to the building right here, and 2 entrances into the multi-use from there with the roll doors there, which are kind of hidden in the dark. Oh, sorry. Is that your That's fine. Sorry about that, folks. Okay. moving on to the gymnasium. And this is something you've all seen before for the most part. What we've got here is the gym proper right here, designed for middle school right now, with the striping and the size of the striping and things of that nature. We've got the primary lobby here, so at this lower corner off the parking lot, leading you to an office for the city recreation department, and then toilet rooms, a janitor's closet, a little bit of storage. And then we get into the entry to the gym right here, with the bleachers right along there on the bottom, so it's nice direct access for visitors. There'll be some storage for the city up here, some building infrastructure right there. And then over here, in this wing here, which is the locker room wing, we also have the storage for the school, so that everybody has their own storage. Boys and girls locker room that's complete with the locker room and toilet rooms, and access to the outside as well as access to the gyms. But in addition to that, of course, is the field house. There will be restrooms designed as part of the field house, along with storage and maintenance.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Where did that field house come from? I don't remember a field house.
Oh, yeah, that was part of the program from the beginning. It's part of, it's part of the program for fields. We may not have talked about it in great detail, but it's been there from the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right?
So it's called a field house, it's a restaurant building to serve the field.
yeah.
Let's clarify.
Field house makes it sound a little grander than.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I understand. I just don't,
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
don't remember it.
Yeah,
Okay, I have a follow-up question.
yes.
So I was looking at, I mean, this is it's an agenda item that we haven't gotten to yet, but I wanted to review sort of what was in the joint use agreement. And what I see is that it will include athletic fields, including soccer and baseball field. And then there's a few other optional add-ons, but I didn't see anything about a field house. So I didn't know if that was part of the joint use agreement.
When we finalize a joint use agreement, we can talk with the city about, are they gonna pay for that extra building or not? Is it something we would have at our schools? We might not have a bathroom out in the field. We do have porta potties at all of our schools. But I know PE does like having storage out there. All of our schools have like little shacks and sheds, little tough sheds out there for storage. But when we get into the final joint use agreement with the city on the actual, any additional costs, we would work with the city to see if they would want to partner and pay for some of that cost.
All right.
You know roughly how big the field house is?
Good question.
1,100 square feet.
11.
Perfect.
Could I go back to slide 18 just for a second, which is the, on the right-hand side, you have two buildings that are shaded. How do I interpret that?
Just that you can
Right
see
here?
those buildings in this view.
Because this seems to be reversed. Right,
It would be nice if this key plan was rotated so that.
I'm sorry, say what?
It would be nice if this key plan was rotated so that it had your same vantage point, but essentially, this drawing is if you are standing right here, looking this way. So. as you
So
look
the
this
way I
way-
see that, you have the library on the right, and then you have buildings on the left.
Library's on the
We are on the right.
Yeah, so this would be the library here.
Which is the
Library
end
and,
of
That's the end of this
Foley
shape over
building.
here. And then this is the NPR outdoor eating area here, which is right through here. And of course, the NPR. But yeah, so as you're looking, the NPR is on your right. And the library and upper grade buildings on the left. Does that help at all?
It's all right, I have to look at it more carefully, but
I understand.
Do you know about how many kids can sit out, like sit down to eat at one time?
We haven't done a calculation for that yet, but we could easily do that for you. Yeah, let us do that for you. We don't have this calculated out or,
laid out.
laid
I'm
out.
just asking because
Yeah.
it's kind of small.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know that it's gonna be enough for all of the students to sit on. I wouldn't.
I think we like stagger our lunches, but I just want to make sure that. You know, they're
yeah, for
big
how,
enough.
yeah, that's a good point. We'll do that for sure.
And we also do know that TK and K, they like to be closer to their, to where their classrooms are at. So oftentimes during the normal core campus is everybody, the upper, like the sixth graders eat here and the TK eats here. It is a little bit kind of at grade level.
Certainly, massage that, but we'll start off by giving you the capacity for that. Excellent question. Okay. And then we were discussing again with the gymnasium, and I think we were ready to look at the elevations. So these are again, similar, you can see the repeated architectural language and the same concept of materials and colors. And trying to capture some shaded portions with an overhang of the buildings, nice daylighting into the building with some appropriately placed glazing. And then the entry to the building, identified for visitors, but the canopy as well as perhaps some graphics, either or gymnasium or something of that nature. This is looking at the next two elevations. So this would be the locker room wing, looking at it from the blacktops. And then the south elevation, this would be the elevation that faces down to the water. So pretty straightforward there. This rendering is if you were standing in the parking lot, looking southwest and toward the multi-use building with the gymnasium on your right, the main lobby visitors entry on your left, that would be right here on this building. And then looking through to the NPR building. So that's kind of the idea there, it's in the parking lot. And the last thing I want to get into is we're starting to have the conversation about some landscape concepts and some types of landscaping, types of furnishings for the exterior. And other types of outdoor amenities, bench seating, things like that, striping. And we're starting to look at what the landscape could be, drawing from these are what we call inspirational images that we're using to start that palette. As well as this slide here is intent to kind of show you how we kind of draw that into the actual colors and textures of the buildings themselves. So this would be, well, again, another inspirational image slide to illustrate some of the feels and colors that we're trying to establish within the buildings, perhaps. So you might see this reproduced as a color scheme for a classroom, or the color scheme for some of the flex spaces and the materials that are being used there. This one is more maybe targeted toward the gymnasium and the NPR, where you start to see some of this acoustical controls being utilized to also provide primary colors and pops of color and things like that. And again, it's more of a natural palette, but more colorful than they've just heard tones. And these are just general concepts because, of course, you get to hear what your preferences are. So at this point, I'm going to turn over to Amber to talk about the budget and these.
Okay, thanks. So I did an updated estimate. I know it's probably hard to read on the right, but I'll give you our copies after this if you want, or electronic copies after if you want to see it. But basically we did an update of the initial estimate that we had done back at RFP time, updated it based on the current buildings that we have in the project now, with the 3 2-story folias. And then we did add cost escalation in here to the midpoint of construction. So we're anticipating starting construction next May and finishing 2 years later. So this includes some cost escalation factors in all of these numbers. So pretty much in line with, I think, what we showed you last time when you add in that cost escalation. And then we did get a little bit more information on some of the site work and some of the soil remediation work that we need to do. But it's a lot more work to do. So our preliminary estimate right here is at the 109 for construction with the 8 million design costs at 117 million. And again, that would include cost escalation for construction to start in May. But as we kind of look on our next steps, we still have a lot more work to do in finalizing the design. So we're going to continue to refine the estimates because obviously there's a lot of contingencies in here right now until we fine tune things. We're gonna go do some site investigations in October because that's the biggest. Our folios are pretty well known, our cost per square foot of those buildings, but the site work, there's still a little bit of unknowns. So we're gonna get in there and poke around, start doing some potholing, digging around, making sure we understand what's there, working on the soil remediation plan that needs to be done. And so all that will happen over the next few months so that we can get some more price certainty there, but that's kind of where we sit today.
Does, do we have to get DSA approval for everything before we start construction?
No, so I don't know the next, watch some of it on here, but the increments, yeah, so there's 3 increments that we're doing this project in. So increment 1 is the site work only, so it's gonna be the site utilities and possibly the the building pads as well. So we want to get started on that in May. So that's gonna go in December. And that also helps us if we go into DSA in December, is that all 3 increments will be on this current code cycle, because there's a new code cycle that goes into effect January 1st. So if we get increment 1 in, we get grandfathered into the old code or the current year code cycle. And then it allows us to start in May on that demo and site utility package. And then in the spring, we're gonna have increment 2 and increment 3 go in. So increment 2 is gonna be the standard 2-story classroom buildings, because we can design that faster and that has the PC on it. And then increment 3 will be the custom NPR gym and field house buildings. So that may stagger like a month out from the or by a couple months. Getting that in, and then again, coming out of DSA, we'll get the Inc. 2 will go have a faster DSA review time as well, because it has the PC and it's been reviewed by DSA before. So yeah, so we'll come out of DSA staggered. My long answer to your question is yes, we're gonna stagger it so that we can get started on some stuff soon, and then theory be done in 3 years from last month, be able to be done with everything. So that's our goal. It's pretty aggressive schedule, but pretty doable if we keep the momentum going now and with the current designs we have, pretty comfortable with that. So yeah, so we're showing in May, starting construction on 1, finishing August 2028. Design development and continuing on the design would be next steps after. I think we would bring this back to you on the 29th. We're gonna have discussions today, bring it back on the 29th for approval, and then get moving on the rest of the design, getting additional information, site investigations. There's a lot of entities that go into this, so we're already starting some of that coordination, like PG&E, the city, this like soil remediation, lots of different entities. I won't put all my alphabet soup on here, but a lot of coordination that's going on that's gonna be needed to make all this come together.
So from the schematics, it does look like it to me, but are you making sure that the campus is ADA accessible?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's required for code and, yeah.
Yeah, to an almost unimaginable level of detail.
Yeah.
With that.
Oh, can we back up to the budget page again? So as you mentioned, it's a little bit higher than the estimate that we saw like the last time that we met.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if you could maybe like shine some light on that. And then is it also that the 117 million is about 80% of the total sort of hard and soft costs combined? That's what we had discussed last time, because because the design costs are already in there. That we
Yeah,
had
so we
thought-
were like, I think was it 105 to 110 or 100 to 105 for this, because we showed you a bunch of different schemes.
Yeah, I think it had been 110 last time, and so now
Yeah.
it's an additional 7, and I was interested in sort of where that came from, if you have any idea where that might come from, and then also just if I'm interpreting it correctly, that like the actual hard and soft costs would be somewhere closer to like 145 million.
Yeah, if you added in the soft costs, you already have design in here, so I can't do that quick math, but yes, there you'd have additional costs for
Right,
like
right.
permitting and inspections and all that.
Okay.
Yeah, and most of what this costs is really just the cost escalation, and so I think we added a little bit more on the site work for like a 6-inch cap of the soil over the top that we didn't know about before, so we added the cost in for the site. We just took a kind of a clean look, so before we kind of give you some like kind of ballpark numbers, took a clean look, but really, yes, that 5% escalation we're using per year, and so you're adding 2 years of escalation. That's kind of right there.
Okay, I see. Okay.
Where we're at. So we added that, estimated added that to each of the kind of cost per square foot's in here. And then we had a little bit more information on the site work. That's why I know you can't read it. There's more lines for the site work, so we have a little bit more information there. And then the building's kind of a cost per square foot based on the building type it fully is.
Okay, thank you. And then I also had a question about the interior spaces. So right now you had like art on a second floor and music on a first floor,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. We're not, even if we approve it on the 29th, that stuff is still
You can still
subject to change. Is that the sort of thing we'd want to decide now?
No, we don't necessarily have to decide that, right?
Okay,
That's a normal kind of thing to have a discussion as we move into the next phase, which we call design development, which is kind of really finalizing the design before we put the instructions together for Amber and her team to build it. So we have time to make some of those changes. I think, art and music are a little bit more, there's a little more infrastructure involved. We're talking about flex classrooms or special ed or things like that. Like those all, not quite, but almost are just what we call the room on the sign. But I think some of those, like the art and music and science, are things that we really want to lock in pretty soon, but that does not need to be part of the approval for tonight.
Okay, well, I just
For
wasn't
when
sure
this
if,
comes up for approval.
for something like art, if it's on the second floor, would that prevent younger students from being able to use that space? And would it make more sense to swap it with something else?
Potentially, but in this scenario where we're building like a TK8 space, a
Right.
lot of times like our art docent folks go into the
Yes,
classroom
yes.
for little ones. Where the older kids might have an art elective in a dedicated art classroom, that would
Okay,
be for older
So
students.
you're envisioning it as being the art elective room?
Correct.
Okay, got it. Let's see, and then I noticed that a lot of the grade level classrooms, like you were talking about, it was gonna be the partition that you could
Mhm.
move in and out, but when we toured, I remember like it wasn't, it didn't provide as good sort of soundproofing between the classrooms. So was that something
You
that?
don't have to have it in there, it's, we designed the folio so you have it there, but some people decide to just build a wall and there's not.
Is it gonna change the cost significantly if we went with a solid wall?
No.
No, okay, that's what I wanted to know.
They're cheaper.
Yeah.
We get a tiny bit less expensive.
It's
That-
cheaper.
that was
Oh, okay,
cheaper
so
with
the
the solid
partition
wall.
on the floor.
No.
Yeah.
But not much.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I think those are my questions. Thank you.
I had a couple of questions. One was if we go, I guess, back up to maybe slide 3. Sorry, no worries. For the overall. Either one of these, the overall schematic, like, was an option looked at where building C on the lower left there is kind of flipped to create a more unified internal courtyard space? Or was that the,
We looked at a lot of different options. I'm not trying to follow
Well,
what you're
so-
trying to say, but yes. we
No, I
looked at
think
a lot of
what
different
I'm getting at
options.
is like Showers Drive is a very busy street and there's a tire repair place across the street. So I'm a little worried about noise and just sort
yeah.
of view into that big gap on Showers. So I was wondering if that was flipped over just for, I mean, I am somewhat compelled by the story of sort of semi-private interlocking spaces, but I feel like if we built it like this, we're gonna need to have a 2-story concrete wall across that gap at the bottom left, which still may be preferable, but I was just wondering if there was a reason, if there was a sort of a practical reason, like buildings B and C can't be close enough together to create a U, or if there was some other consideration.
So
It's an excellent question.
yeah, and I know that is one of the, I don't know, 27 variations.
Yeah.
But I think part of it is it doesn't quite fit. Like if you actually put them together, there's not quite enough room there between the easement and then the setback from the easement and the street and everything and kind of getting the buildings to fit in there. And so I think it was partly that, but partly also, as you said, kind of liking this concept of the interlocking courtyards and a little bit of separation from the playground. We also talked about, I think that came up before too, is there's a lot of noise that comes from there too. So having that little bit more protected interior courtyard from the playgrounds seemed like a feature as well.
Yeah.
And I think that we want to be careful about the sound and kind of visual thing, but try to use landscaping to really screen that visually. And look a little more carefully at the sound part of it.
Yeah.
We can create kind of a sound.
Sure, well, I mean, I think there's also gonna be a visual, like, parents, like, like to feel their kids are in a secluded space, right? And the way this site topography is, if you're standing on the sidewalk on Showers, you're looking up a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I'm just worried about that whole campus
Yeah.
being laid out in front of whoever happens to be having that.
Well, that elevation will also give us some opportunity to screen that too.
Sure.
So
So actually, that brings me to another question, which is, can you anybody say a little bit about, like, this is the first time kind of we're seeing these, but like, who has seen this? What's the feedback process been as you guys have been working through this?
Are you asking, because I was wondering, is there someone who's,
Well, it sounds like
Yeah,
it's some,
Eric and I,
some
Eric
feedback.
more than me, but have been meeting regularly with the team almost weekly throughout summer.
Okay,
And we've been having meetings a lot. If you look at some of the landscaping on the exterior of California and Showers, that's purposeful to kind of give it some screening. Because all of our schools, some of them are on busier streets than others. I mean, Covington is a road, but not super crowded in the way the schools are laid out. So some of the landscaping elements, we're gonna try to have some higher hedges or trees to do a natural barriers, which is actually aesthetically looks a lot nicer. So that's gonna be a design element that we're gonna have to try to make sure we get it in the right locations. You know, getting the right trees in the right locations to give that visual screening as well.
And so when we're, sorry,
No, it's okay.
when we talk about approving this at our next meeting,
Yeah.
like, what are we just locking down like the building shape and some locations, less the internals? Is that
Yeah, I
fair?
mean, I think what we would hope for at a schematic design approval is sort of general agreement that this scheme is the right way to go forward and generally how things are laid out, and it may be also like, you know, we want you to look at adding some more student restrooms in the classroom buildings, and we'd like you to look at whatever. We really like purple on the outside, I don't know, you know, like whatever, like a few kind of pieces of feedback like that you want us to look at as we go forward. So it's kind of like that level, generally, this is the right direction, we approve of the scope and the budget and the general design direction, and have some additional thoughts we'd like you to explore, or people we'd like you to talk to, or something like that.
Can I say two more things? Though?
Yeah.
So I guess on that vein, like, I think we got some good comments at our study session back in June, from a staff member who, you know, had concrete feedback. So I'd love to make sure that between now and our next meeting, we approve this, like, some set of people who are on our campuses every day have looked at this and just made sure that we're not missing anything strange. And like, in that vein, my one
Yeah,
thing is that the like the servery window on the north side, I'm not sure it makes any
Yeah.
sense to me. I'm not sure if we can just put that internally to the NPR, if we're having roll-up doors anyway, to your question
Yeah.
about seating capacity, and then all
Yeah,
the
those are
students
some
are
of those
just,
things we've been talking
there.
about already, so it'd be good to get.
Yeah.
Does it make sense for the server window to be so far from where they're gonna sit and
Yeah.
eat? Yes,
so,
waste a lot of time getting through.
Yeah, yes, we can certainly do that between now and the
that would be
29th.
good.
We know some people. I also want to be careful. I believe we've been doing a lot of clarifying questions, not to override your authority, Madam President, but we do have public comment before we get into kind of the other
I
parts.
just thought we were asking more.
Yeah.
Then why don't we take a break and I'll take public comment and then we can continue? Is that okay? So I
Do you
think
have clarifying?
Stella and
Sure.
Vladimir had questions.
I think now I have more comments, so I can wait till after.
You have a clarifying question?
I just want to know, Brian, when you were asking about who has seen this, were you talking beyond the team, architecture and building team and the administrators? Or were you talking even, or what were you referring?
Yeah, no, I was just wondering, I mean, I gathered from Sandra's statement that there's some administrators that seen this and are working with the team. I just wanted clarification as to whether that was like just Eric and Sandra, or if there was a larger set of teachers or staff members who had been, you know, committee or something working since June, since last time.
And I think that's very valuable. Okay, looks like we have one person for public comment, Carolyn Miller. Please come to the podium. You'll have 3 minutes.
Well, it's nice to be back. I haven't been here since before COVID, and that's where I left off, so I'm so glad to hear that it's Bullis Charter now instead of where I left off. I read the Post, I read the Town Crier, and I didn't know that Egan was still being considered to move to that corner, so I'm so relieved that this is the focus of where you've come to. My concern more is what Brian was touching on, in that it's such a busy corner. And I'm really concerned about security there. And so I was listening to your presentation to see if there's a wall around that corner, or it sounds like there's an elevation rise. But that was what I really cared to address, plus also to thank you for choosing to keep Egan where it is.
Thank you very much. I think just to clarify, we have not made a decision.
You haven't?
We have not made a decision on what's going on that. I just want to be accurate. I don't want the.
So I've been looking and I haven't seen any decision made, but you're saying elementary children there.
It's being built for a TK-8 program.
Yes,
It's being designed for right now.
not for middle school in your right.
Correct.
We're choosing something that gives us the most amount of flexibility over the long term. Okay, board comments, Stella?
Oh, and I just wanted to kind of, as a point of clarification, there will be fencing that surrounds the campus, right?
Yeah,
Fencing that-
we haven't gotten to laying that out yet, but our general approach is to use the buildings as a perimeter where we can. And then make sure we're securing and providing secure access onto the campus. So
So
really
that-
kind of connecting the buildings
Right.
in this case, and then retaining the fields as well.
Right, and so the access point would be through the lobby in the administration building.
And there's gates for emergency egress and for access, you know, outside of school hours, but during school hours, you have to come through that main hall.
Thank you. And then I did have some comments since you were also looking for some feedback, right? And so,
Yep.
yeah, so when I looked at the budget, you know, it did increase, and I'm sure some of it is just due to escalation, but I would also be interested in seeing if there's any places where if there's any fat that could be trimmed, do you know what I mean? And like one concern I have is just that, you know, because this is going to be a brand new school and new campus, I don't want this campus to sort of shine well beyond sort of our existing campuses, because the goal should be to have like a standardized educational experience for any of the students in our district. And I just wouldn't want this one school to sort of be an exception, either in the landscaping or in the interior design. So I just want to make sure everything is sort of aligned with our existing school sites. And then, yeah, so just to still keep the budget in mind and see what, savings we might be able to find.
Absolutely.
Any comments? Just one thing, it looks like all of the landscaping is kind of in the center, and I don't know, we have the living classroom program where they plant. They grow, like where would, like raised beds.
Yes.
There's
Where
a
was that?
couple of, there's a couple of spots that I think that's kind of what this area is identified for. So kind of some of these spaces, we also have some other landscaping areas over here that we could explore, but I think this was probably the primary location for the garden. I think that's probably what that says, but I can't read that. But that seems like the, you know, kind of within the perimeter, off the main playground near the MCR there. But that's kind of, and then there could also be opportunities to incorporate programs like that into this space if that made more sense educationally. It just kind of depends on which way you want to handle. Or the staff wants to say.
Where you located the garden beds or that, that was the former notch into our space, it looks like.
I'm not following. What do
I
you
don't
mean
think
by
so, it's further down, there's a. Oh, there, complete.
Yeah, the parking lot from the adjacent property from the Walmart, there's like a little notch that sticks out into our property that is kind of, it's like,
Oh.
it has to be kind of reworked.
Okay.
It's basically kind of like the other.
So it notch hasn't been taken care of.
Well, it'll be part of the. construction.
Yeah, that's the coordination with federal prop,
Yeah.
but yeah, 'cause they have their design and we have ours, so I think we're trying to get a meeting set up with them to coordinate their drawings and our stuff and the timing of it, yeah, because we can't start our stuff until that driveway gets reconfigured. But at the end, they won't, that driveway won't go through your property anymore, right? We should figure out the coordination of when they reconfigure their parking lot so that it doesn't go through.
Yeah. That not showing the notch, not on our drawings.
It won't be there.
Yeah, I won't be there.
It'll be gone.
Yeah.
Heard that it had been taken care of.
Yeah,
It's in
and-
process.
Like it's me.
And then this last summer, it's funny, Walmart did a lot of like parking lot work out there anyway, so there were some complaints from neighbors about they were closing that parking lot down, so there has been a lot of work in the adjacent parking lots as well.
You had mentioned the word setback, and what is the required setback for the Hetchy right of way on? Just out of curiosity. I mean.
So the Hetchy actually would have learned is not on your property line goes right to the edge of the Hetchy.
Yeah.
But we are doing the bike lane, right?
Yeah.
Which will be on your school property, but that will be a city, bike lane. Just, I guess to the left of those trees.
That means the city maintains it? You said it's a city bike lane, but it's not our property.
Well, we're gonna have to talk about that, because I think it kind of runs through the property line between us and Federal Realty, so there's gonna have to be some sort of easement given up, so we'll be working, that's gonna be all part of the property descriptions of how we lay out, and also the layout area to the park as well.
Any other comments? Right, thank you. Thank you for it. It looks very spacious. Like it doesn't feel like a small campus. It feels really quite open and welcoming. Oh,
Right.
I just want to thank them for incorporating our comments.
I know, sorry, well, I was still thinking. I think to Stella's point about cost control and another comment about this campus being sort of commensurate with our other campuses, like there are some details in this budget that are things that our PTAs have ended up paying for over the last 30 years at many of our other campuses. So I think it makes sense to have a unified plan for where all these things will go, but then, you know, some of the shade structures, for example, may not exist until there is a PTA to pay for them. You know, 3 or 4 years from now,
It's not uncommon. It's a good approach.
Or the garden,
or the garden.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
We want to plan for all that, but you're right, there can be various ways to actually pay for it and implement it. It doesn't have to be done all at the same time.
yeah, I would second also Stella pushing back on the city about the field house as opposed to porta potties.
Yeah.
And tough sheds.
Yeah.
Cause I've
Yeah, I
seen
can
the.
see how that could be useful, but really useful for the city, not for the school, right, or
Well,
for the public.
and I saw the construction of the bathrooms for the dog park at Los Altos Civic Center, and that was a shocking amount of concrete.
Oh, yeah.
For 2 bathrooms, which is why it's $1 million on this budget, so like.
Yeah, I think that's, and then, you know, it's one of those things too, where if that's continuous negotiation, then we can include it in the design and move that forward, so it's there if you wanna build it, but it's always easy to not if it doesn't make sense, but.
So you could like. Bring the utilities to there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah, we could stub the utilities out and just
Yeah.
leave it at that, and
Alright.
then I can always build, the city can build that in the future, whatever, that's a pretty minimal cost, we're running all these utilities right here anyway.
right, yeah.
Right, so it's
Okay.
gonna be, sure.
Any further comments, discussion? All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're
Very
very
exciting.
welcome.
Exciting to see the project moving forward.
Yes, that's exciting.
We appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, moving on to our next agenda item. First amendment to the memorandum of understanding, transfer development rights with the city of Mountain. Mr. Walton.
Yeah, we wanted to kind of, I go a little bit back and maybe to kind of talk about how these 2 items that we'll be approving tonight came about. So in 2019, the district at that time was called the Flint site. It's now called the San Antonio campus. We purchased it in 2019, and then in cooperation and partnership with the city of Mountain View, we had the funding joint use agreement, FJUA. And then at the same time, there was an amendment to the FJUA. One of the appendix that you'll be approving tonight is the TDR program, which is a funding mechanism to help the district offset some of the construction costs. Then our lovely friend COVID happened. And COVID caused a significant delay to implement the San Antonio campus, to build it, construct it. But then also it did hamper the local commercial real estate market, which the TDR program has been very slow. The district has received 1 TDR for Sobrato, and then recently the Malone Geyer TDR has been the city, we're anticipating the city approving that TDR in December and executing it. And then since last December, the district we're planning and hoping to get the field open by the fall of 24. But due to these significant delays in the TDR program and COVID, there's a delay, so we've been working very collaboratively with the city since last early December to extend the TDR program and amend the FJUA to give the district, I think Shally put it perfectly tonight, give us the maximum flexibility to use the site for district programs. So tonight there'll be 2 items that we're asking to approve, and I'll walk you through each one. One is to do the TDR program extension and then amend the FJUA. And I really want to thank the city of Mountain View for continued partnership. Assistant City Manager Audrey has been wonderful to work with. Her team and our legal counsel and the city attorney's office worked very collaboratively to make this happen. So a lot of good partnership and collaboration. So we're really excited to bring these 2 items to you. The first item we're going to talk to you about is on the next slide, let me get to it, is the TDR program extension. And this is a pretty simple agreement. The TDR program was set to expire in a few years. And so instead of going from a 10-year It's gonna be a 20-year extension. And we feel that's enough time to really see if the TDRs all can come in. Right now, the commercial real estate market is not in the best shape it is with interest rates and many other factors in our community. But we feel an extra 10 years on the agreement will give us more time to see if some of those TDRs will come in. The cities also will be partnering with us to help us advertise and promote the TDR program, which I think is another vested interest for both. It does benefit the city and the district at the same time. So, so tonight, we're gonna be asking to recommend the board to approve the First Amendment to the memorandum of understanding as proposed in front of you. So there's two items, so we'll just kind of go through this item first and let you do your.
Do my thing?
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, if anyone would like to provide public comment on this agenda item, please submit a speaker card. Are there any clarifying questions from the board? Are there any requests for public comment? Right, public comment is now closed. For discussion, would any board members like to provide comment on this agenda item?
We're only doing two, right?
Or we're doing them one, yeah, we're doing one at a time.
Yeah, number 2.
Okay. Seeing no further comments. May I have a motion to approve the First Amendment to the Memorandum of Understanding for the Transfer of Development Rights Program with the City of Mountain View?
So moved.
Thank you, Vladimir. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Stella. All right, any further board discussion? No. Okay. Motion to approve the First Amendment to the Memorandum of Understanding for the Transfer of Development Rights Program with the City of Mountain View was made by Vladimir, who seconded by Stella. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. Thanks, Eric. Next one.
So the next item is the funding joint use agreement amendment. And this is similar item, but a little bit different. There are some things because of COVID and some obviously significant delays that we're unable to deliver the field on time. This will allow us to extend the time. As you heard the design build team tonight talk about, we're hoping by the fall of 28, but we have an extra year just in case if something happens. We do not anticipate anything happening. That gives us an extra year to build the site. It also gives the staff and district and the board really more flexibility on what we build there. It will be a public school. And we haven't decided who's going there or anything else, but this is an agreement with us in the city of Mountain View. Really, I do like saying thank you a lot because we do want to thank the city of Mountain View helping us fund this project. It did contribute $23 million and help us with the TDR program. But by doing those things, it helps defray the cost of the land and the project. And so these proceeds, obviously for future TDRs, there'll be some clarifies the distribution of those proceeds. So tonight, this is a recommendation to approve the amendment to the funding joint use agreement as proposed. And we've had legal counsel obviously review all these agreements as well.
Great. Thank you. Would anyone like to, if anyone would like to provide public comment on this agenda item, please submit a speaker card. Any? Yes, okay. Public comment is now closed. Are there any clarifying questions from the board?
Yeah.
Stop.
Okay, so, let's see, there's a section that discusses that the joint use area shall be complete and available no later than September 30th, 2030. And then it says the improvements to be developed in the joint use area and for this specific purpose do not include the gymnasium. So my understanding is that the gymnasium is not subject to the September 30th, 2030 deadline. But then I wasn't sure if it also meant that the gymnasium was not part of the joint use area, or could you just help me understand that?
We worked it out with the city that it will be built at the same time as the school gets built and will not be delivered any earlier.
But they will have access to the gymnasium, or?
Well, once it's built, yes.
Right, once it's built, that
Yes.
they would have access to the gymnasium. Does that include the locker rooms?
The city didn't have an interest in having locker rooms, as far as their programming, and we haven't finished obviously the programming. But all of our K-8 schools, all of our middle schools do have locker rooms. So since we're building a TK through 8 program, we put locker rooms were appropriate for building it. And it also gives us maximum flexibility. for any programs in the future to have middle school, it's pretty common to have changing rooms.
Oh, yes, no, I am 100%
Yeah,
on board with
yeah.
us having locker rooms. I was just wondering if the city would have access to them, because then they would have access
No,
to.
that's not.
That's not, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
One of the things they pointed out in the drawings was the city, because of their recreation adult programs that happen at night, they wanted a little office off to the side so they could see into the gym. So their staff members would kind of see into the gym and be able to sit in the office, but they didn't really have an interest in using locker rooms, so they were. We pretty much, yeah, you need locker rooms for your middle schools, for the 7th and 8th graders, we totally understand.
Well, maybe if I can clarify, like the city, the joint use area and the gym will be available to the city and citizens after school hours.
Correct.
Right, the whole campus is ours during school hours.
Correct.
So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think maybe some of your confusion about the way this is phrased is because when we initially negotiated this joint use agreement, there was a theory that we might build, that the joint use stuff was like the fields and the gym. But the city agreed that they wouldn't insist on getting the gym
Right.
until we built the campus.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
my primary reason for asking about this was because I thought that they might be able to use the restrooms
Oh.
that were within the locker room, which would then
Ah.
negate the need for other restroom facilities. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any further comment? Further discussion on this agenda item?
So if you look at the joint use agreement here, there's a lot of red line in amended section 7, development of the school site. And basically speaking, most of that involves removing a neighborhood preference. The district doesn't have any campus which doesn't have a neighborhood preference. The only school that could conceivably be affected by removing the neighborhood preference is if we wanted to put the proposed charter there. So I think it's disingenuous to say that we haven't decided to put proposed charter there, because in fact we have. And the reason why we're doing that is because this particular neighborhood preference has been removed. I don't think it's the right thing to do to put village charter on that side, because even though what you asked about the looks of the campus, it will be the best campus. It will be the newest campus. It will have facilities in there that are not shared at all of our other campuses. And the total cost of this is going to be about someplace between $400 million to $600 million for the district. And I don't think it's the right thing to do for LASD to spend $400 to $600 million on BCS. And so that's why we're voting against them.
I just want to clarify, because you said one of my comments was disingenuous. The neighborhood preference, removing the neighborhood preference. I voted for it because I thought it gave us the most flexibility over like 50 years that we can put whoever, whatever on there. I don't know what we're gonna be doing 10 years from now. I don't know what we're gonna do 20 years from now. We may have a community school. I don't know. But I just thought that I didn't want the city of Mountain View to tell the district how it's going to deliver its education program. Because we may decide to do something different on that site 20 years from now. I don't know.
Sure,
So
and
that
the laws could change.
the laws could change, exactly. Which is why I made a comment to the woman who made public comment that we haven't decided the board has not voted what to put on that site. The board has just moved in a direction that gives us maximum flexibility.
I think Vladimir's point is well taken, that if we did not have to come up with a solution for Bullis Charter School, we would not be building this site. And I think that, you're not wrong that removing the neighborhood preference requirement makes it easier for us to allocate the space to Bullis Charter School. We have to find space to allocate to Bullis Charter School because we need to, after 25 years, make it so there aren't 1,500 kids on each of our junior high campuses. We need to move our sixth graders over there for the academic program that we're trying to deliver. So I share a lot of your pain at how much money we are dedicating to this one solution. But I've been on the board for 10 years. The only alternative solution, which probably would deliver a better academic program for all of our kids, would be to close one of our elementary schools and place BCS there. Or the alternative is to put 2,000 kids on each of our junior highs. So, you know, I take your points, but I'm still supportive of these changes to this MOU for the reasons that Charlie elucidated around establishing that we have clear control over our sites, so that we can use them the way we need to now and in the future. And that in the short term, I think this is the solution that our community wants on balance.
And I mean, we're operating neighborhood schools, but that's not because we have to. Nobody's telling us we have to draw the boundaries that way. The previous neighborhood preference was a directive of how to operate a school, to Shelley's point, and so I don't think there's any, I don't know, and
And I think it's the other comment that I want to make is I think that we, or at least I, in good faith, attempted to uphold that preference that the Mountain View City Council put in, right? Like, we tried to get BCS to agree to have a neighborhood preference if they were allocated this site, and they flatly refused. And they were spending millions of dollars suing the county. So we're in a position, thankfully, Mountain View has been very cooperative and collaborative in finding a path forward together, given all of the various legal requirements and factors involved. I think, you know, there's aspects of this I don't like, but I think it's the best path forward for the district.
So just to clarify,
Stella, okay, you can clarify and then Stella.
I don't object to putting BCS on the 10th site. I object to putting the best campus for BCS on the 10th site. And
I get your point, and I'll echo what Brian said. There's a lot of pain points in this. It's, I get your point. It's fine. So,
Oh, well, since I'm a numbers person, I wanted to clarify, you know, how much we actually have spent on the site. So Eric, can you remind us how much it costs to purchase the land? And then, as I asked during the schematic portion of the board meeting tonight, I think we're not expecting that the construction, even with all the soft costs included, it should not exceed 150 million based on the budget that they showed us today, right? And how much did it cost to purchase? Was it 100
It's
million?
about 111 million.
111.
Yeah, because the total costs, some of it was defrayed from the 43 million from the cities.
Right, so I think then it's coming out to 260 or so, right?
if you include the interest that we have to pay, it's about double.
Or are you talking about the bond financing? But that's not like the cost that the district, or that, it's not the check that was written.
LASD residents over 30 years are going to pay someplace between 400 and 600 million dollars for BCS to get the best campus in the district. That I think is wrong.
any further comment, discussion?
I just wanna reiterate that we have not decided that that school will go there.
So I'd like to push back on that. And the reason I'd like to push back is that everything we have done, even though we haven't officially decided, the only thing that we've done is to consider BCS in there. We haven't said we're gonna put BCS there, but that's the only actual things that we have done over the whole time. And it's I view it as a sequence of salami tactics. Each one is individually not worth making a big fuss on, but if you look at the whole series, we decided a long time ago to put BCS on that site.
I think,
Disagree, but that's okay.
I think it's fair to say that we have discussed this site and planned this site so that we could put BCS there if we did to, but we have not decided to. We can only decide to through a board vote, and the board has not voted, to the best of my recollection.
That's correct, and we have not explored any other option in anywhere near the detail we have explored about putting BCS on. That's why I think it's just needless to say that it's. But we haven't decided yet.
Just want to say for the record, I'm not being disingenuous. I think we did go through an extensive and exhaustive community engagement process. I feel like we went through that process twice at expense to the district to see what made the most sense. And we got a lot of pushback from our community on one plan or the other plan or the other plan. Our community spoke and was very clear in how they felt about giving up one of their own campuses. I agree with you that it's our decision to make at the end of the day, and we're elected here to make the hard decisions. But to say that we haven't deeply explored all the other options is not, and I feel like that's not entirely accurate, because we did explore the options. We narrowed it down and narrowed it down and narrowed it down until we came up with what do you call a short list of options.
That was before COVID. I look back at the materials.
Post-COVID,
What's that?
even post-COVID, since this team has been here,
I know, the community, massive community was pre-COVID.
the input.
And
was-
the only dollar amount that I could find in materials that were presented was $93 million to the campus, and it's way more than that. So I don't think the community has had the opportunity to fully consider how much it's going to cost them over the next 30 years to put BCS on the 10th site.
Brian, did you have one?
No.
I have some.
Sorry, stop.
Well, I'm based on the public comment tonight. It sure sounded like somebody here from the community was, pleased at the fact that we're considering this option.
I believe she said that we had decided.
Well, she thought we had decided, but she was certainly pleased about what she thought might have been a decision. She was pleased about the prospect of it. And we also received an email as trustees from a resident near Egan complaining about the traffic and how many near misses she sees there every day, and how badly she would like, to see the charter school on a different campus to reduce the congestion and traffic and sort of like dangerous driving conditions there. And so I think, I'm not saying that we've polled everyone in our community, but the messages that we have received certainly indicate to me that they're pleased with the way that the board is moving.
I completely agree that the traffic situation at Egan is terrible and dangerous. No question about that.
So if I could point us back to the task at hand, thank you for the comments and the discussion. The task at hand tonight is to consider approving this amendment. I would like to be really clear that this amendment is not placing a school there. This is amending the financial agreements we have and the delivery dates and what have you. This does not preclude us from 6 months from now determining that another school ends up there, right? Or 5 years from now, or 15 years from now, but tonight it's just looking at that funding and joint use agreement. That's been built in collaboration with the city of Mountain View.
Thank you for bringing this back.
Can I ask a
Yes.
question about the details here? Does it matter that exhibit A1 is out of date in terms of relative to the campus layout that we just looked at?
No, the city and district worked on the layout and agreeing to it as part of the exhibits.
Sure, but it's not, it doesn't matter that we're not delivering. That's it.
Correct. That's just a general layout.
Jim, were you gonna say something? Sorry. I feel like maybe you like.
No.
Okay, all
Sorry.
right. Is there any further comment on this agenda item?
one thing that legal counsel advised us on, and we. It is a 99-year joint use agreement. And this does give us the flexibility within 30 years, 40 years, if we needed to do something for that campus. But by having the neighborhood preference, it constrains us. And it doesn't give us any flexibility 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 50 years from now. And none of us will be here 99 years unless we all can live till 200 or whatever. But I want to make it clear that was one of the things that legal counsel really, and we felt it was a good thing for the district to give us maximum flexibility that it gives us the flexibility to do that.
Thank you, Eric. Did I already ask for public comment on this?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Alrighty. May I please have a motion to approve the First Amendment to the funding and joint use agreement with the city of Mountain View?
So move.
Thank you, Brian. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Stella. Is there any further board discussion? Nope. Okay. Motion to approve the First Amendment to the funding and joint use agreement with the city of Mountain View was made by Brian, seconded by Stella. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Yes.
Noted. Any abstentions? None? Okay. Thank you. Motion passes 4-1. Next item. 2024-25 unaudited actuals. Mr. Wallach.
I'm really sad that our friends from LASD left with my most exciting presentation of the year. When I sent to Dallas and Dallas, so. Tonight we're here to present the 24-25 unaudited actuals, and this is the time that we close the books for the 24-25 budget. And I've mentioned it a couple of times, but I do want to acknowledge that business staff, as a lot of people are out on summer breaks. And people are preparing for PDs and come back to school. The business staff is working very hard to close the financials and just really an accounting of all the revenue and expenditures for all funds prior to the review by our auditor. We must file this with the County Office of Education by September 15th and transmit that to them. They send it to the State Controller's Office. And then once the board approves this, they'll be sent to our external auditors. This is an action item tonight. And we'll be asking you to approve the 24-25 unaudited actuals. Revenue last year of and this is from our general fund only, 86.6 million. Expenditures and including the transfers out, and the transfers out is mostly to the cafeteria fund. And there's a higher transfer out. We also transferred about 250,000 to our deferred maintenance fund, and that was because of an insurance claim that we had from the tree that fell at Oak. And we finally received the final allotment from the insurance company. And because maintenance paid for those repairs, it made sense to move that money into the deferred maintenance fund. And we'll be using that to fund projects throughout the schools. So the net change in the fund balance is an increase of 4.4 million. Our beginning fund balance is 21.9. And then the 2.08 is our restricted ending balance. And our unassigned ending fund balance is 23.95, and that's cash. And I want to make it clear that we're not doing a tran this year, so this will be the second year. I feel like we've made some improvements on our cash management. The district saves a considerable amount of money on interest from the short-term loan. We pay just this month with a $1.2 million in new transfer to Willis Charter School. So between July 1 and the first property tax apportionment that we get, the district has to have this cash available to pay our bills, to pay the transfer to the charter school, to meet payroll every month. Our families and our employees and their families, they count on us to meet payroll every month so they can pay their bills as well. So by having cash in the bank, it sounds like, oh, we have a very large cash balance. Yes, we need that to pay our bills. We will be getting our first property tax transfer from the assessor's office in November, so we really need that cash to make our payroll. And then we also needed this year, not so much this year, we don't receive a lot of money, but some school districts have cash deferrals. And so they won't get their money a month later, so that they have trouble getting cash maybe in July or August. We're fortunate that we have enough cash balance, but I always want to point out why we need cash. And that's part of our ending balance, and it is our part of our reserves. So school districts that when they get into trouble financially, they run low on cash. Cash is still king, even though we all use debit cards and credit cards, cash is still how we pay our bills, right? So I always want to point that out about that, why that ending balance is important. We did meet our targeted reduction for last fiscal year of $2.8 million. And I wanted to point this out and add really some context. We've talked about right size staffing, but this is really the right size staffing in the numbers. In 22-23, we're coming out of COVID. We did hire some additional staff with some one-time federal funds, ESSER funds, and so on. We're at 467 FTEs, and that was when I first started. And then, but then through attrition, normal attrition, people move, they leave, and as our enrollment has dropped a little bit, we have reduced our staffing, and that's been able, by doing that, that's been able to give us some breathing room in our budget, but then also give record compensation increases for our very deserving staff. So there's a reason why we've been able to do that, is one, good cash management, but then also we have been the right size staffing. And every year we will continue working on making sure we're not overstaffed. Not that we don't need staff, we need people to do the work, the important work that we do. But by being more efficient with our staffing, it's pretty important. We will continue analyzing our operational efficiencies using in-house people versus contracted services. Now that Kim is back in the room, I want to acknowledge all the important CSA staff we do. Like this summer, we hired one of our teachers to help us do custodial work. It was amazing. We hired some of our food service workers to help us do some extra custodial cleaning. So by hiring our own in-house people instead of contractors, it does save us a significant amount of money. And it's good for employees who only work 10 or 11 months out throughout the year and give them some extra work. And then, this is really another important thing. We've had some one-time funds, restricted funds. We use those funds first. Use all your restricted funds first. That frees up your unrestricted general fund for salary raises. So, our educator effectiveness funds must be spent by this year. Our ELOP funds, our music discretionary block grant needs to be spent this year. So those funds, we've been spending them. We have a plan. And so by using those funds first, it does save our general fund, unrestricted general fund. 24-25 savings, I try to break it down. I want to emphasize these are one-time savings, so it's not ongoing. From estimated actuals to closing the books, these are the savings. 1.4 in just vacancies and substitutes, that we have some money budgeted for there. There are some people that we were thinking they were gonna go on maternity leave. They did not, so now they're gonna be going on leave this year, this fall. So we have to budget for that, and that's a significant amount. We also swept the site carryovers, the school sites. Every year we would give them a budget, but then sometimes they would hold on to their and hoard their money, which it's very nice of them. I like it when they save. But then we also, those are money that could be used back into the general fund. So we let the principals know that they're not going to be allowed to carry over these big ending balances. They do have some discretionary funds for EL students and that are targeted. That money, they get to carry that money over. Reduction of employee benefits, not that we reduced benefits, but we had money saved for PERS and STIRS and health and welfare that just didn't get used. But we're very close on a $24 million benefits for Object Code 3000. We're very close. And then we had some restricted carryover increase of about almost 478,000. I want to highlight these two: reduction of contracted services and books and supplies. That is a combination of using our own staff. We really tightened up the management of the maintenance account, of the routine restricted maintenance account. We saved $1 million in maintenance this year by using our own people, being selective and smarter of how we do things in maintenance and operations. And really the fiscal department, the business office really took control of that budget. And then also there are certain things like we had to buy a new lawnmower. Well, the lawnmower didn't come in. And so when you buy certain things you budget for, if they don't come in by the end of June, they go to the next year's budget. So certain things, books and supplies, there's some math curriculum that we'll be talking about this year. We didn't pay for that. It's gonna be coming out as next year's budget, right? So, and then increased revenue, and then the revenue was up 1.6. And there's a combination of many factors. One is PTA, late interest alone was an extra 400,000. And interest you can't budget for, because when we do our budget, we have to kind of close the revenue by May 1st. Well, that's like the last 2 months of the year. We don't even know what we get a quarterly report from the county treasury. We don't get it until July. So I don't know what they're gonna give us, right? So we have to budget conservatively. We got additional lottery money this year, some additional special education money, funds, and then our user fees and rentals. During COVID, those numbers were very low, and we have a lot more kids using the summer camps, the rentals. And so, it's a combination of all those things. It was an extra 1.6. So when you look at our increased revenue, it's almost a delta of 7.5, and we're very happy with this number. I was off by maybe $1 million, but I'm a little conservative in our planning, but I wouldn't want to share good news instead of bad news. And then the next slide talks about the targeted reductions for this year. So for 25-26, we're still targeting 10 FTEs. We did reduce our property and liability insurance by 20%, which is a big number. There's been continued budgetary oversight of our routine restricted maintenance account. In previous years, we were over contributing 3, over 4, or 5%. The requirement is 3%, and you really don't want to over contribute to that. And so this year we're budgeting right at 3. We're also trying to reduce some overtime. And then reduction on the use of outside contractors for in-house staff. There are certain things as I kind of enjoyed sharing the pine cone with you, but our staff are not trained to climb trees and do some of that technical work. But so there are certain times we work close with CSCA where we do need a higher contractor, but it's just specialized work. Future concerns, as you know, the Federal Reserve, we don't know what's going on there. There's going to even be a Federal Reserve anymore. But the slow residential sales, we are seeing it in our property taxes softening. We just got our first number, which I'll share with you when we go to first interim, but we're getting our numbers for this year's revenue for property taxes in Los Altos. And we're right kind of where we budgeted. It's not gonna be more. The state, federal government is not funding TK, universal meals and special education. 5%, but then other plans went up 13%. So depending on what health and welfare plan you have, those rates do fluctuate. We know our PERS rates, workers' compensation rates, and utilities they never go down. And I was reading the other day about PG&E, everybody's getting these big bills that are coming in now. So we're not immune to that, even though we're a public agency, we pay the same PG&E rates. So we're very lucky we've got solar to help defray some of those costs. So still lots of concerns and a softening economy. So we're gonna be very conservative in the out years as our planning goes on, because our budget cycle is a year-round cycle. This is our closing the financials from the previous year. I always tell people it's in the rearview mirror. It's kind of what happened last year, how our projection for this year and our multi-year projections. The only changes are beginning balance. It doesn't change much else. Our projections are still the same. And we'll have an update for you at first interim in December. And I want to ask the board, this is a recommendation approval of the 25-26 unaudited actuals.
Thank you, Eric. If anyone would like to make public comment on this agenda item, please submit your public comment cards.
24-25 unaudited actual.
25-20, I'm sorry. It should say 24-25. That's a typo.
Okay,
Sorry.
just wanted to make sure.
I said it correctly, but I typed that one, so my bad. That's a typo.
That was your public comment.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Any requests for public comment? Public comment is now closed. Are there any clarifying questions from the board? In that case, board discussion, are there any comments?
I don't have a slide number because there are no slide numbers on there, but if you go back. Okay, stop right there. The property and liability insurance 20%, that's our premiums that are going down, or we reduce the amount of liability insurance by 20%.
The premium, the decrease from last year to this last year, it's a down 20% reduction. So from last year to this year, it'll show 20% reduction.
But the amount that we're covered is still the same.
In fact, our coverage is better.
Okay, right, good.
Yeah, we're getting better coverage at a lower cost.
All right, go back some more.
Yeah.
Back some more. Stop. The last item there, increased revenue, was actually not a one-time saving. It's an ongoing thing.
Well, it's a one-time, those we don't know if PTA will give the same amount every single year, so I consider that a one-time. LAIF is a one-time. We know LAIF gives us, money every year, but something happens, it's a one-time. Interest is a one-time thing. Lottery is one time that year. Special education depends on the MOUs or the funding from the federal government. User fees and rentals are not guaranteed to be ongoing. So those, I consider those one time. I think property taxes to me would be ongoing.
Can I
Yes.
ask a question on top of his question about those increased or that revenue group? That late funding is the extra funding that they gave us, right?
Correct.
Not their committed.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and I always say that it's either things
Oh,
that,
alright.
that were not in the budget. Yeah, LAIF always, we always budget 2.5, but if they gave us 2.7, that's additional revenue.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good question.
yes.
Any other
And I'll
comments?
make, I apologize for not this, page number. I usually do, but this one I did not, I'm sorry.
All
It's
right.
been 11 years and it's still a concern.
Alrighty, there's no further comments. Then may I please have a motion to approve resolution, oh, sorry, I'm in the wrong one, so sorry. Then may I please have a motion to approve the 2024-25 unaudited actual revenue and expenditures?
So moved.
Thank you, Vladimir. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Stella. Is there any further board discussion? Okay, motion to approve the 2024-25 unaudited actual revenue and expenditures was made by Vladimir and seconded by Stella. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Wait, I jumped the gun and went to number 5. Number 5 is resolution number 25/26-01, the GAN limit.
Yeah, it's a routine item. Every year after we close the books, we have to update our GAN limit, which is an appropriations limit named after Senator Gann. Imagine that. And so we are asking the board to update our GAN limit for 24-25 to be 76.4 million. And then the estimated appropriations limit for 25-26 to be 82.03. This is a routine item. But it is also a resolution. It's resolution number 25-26-01.
Thank you, Eric. If anyone would like to provide public comment on this item, please submit a speaker card. Seeing none. Or are there, okay, great. Public, I always ask, like, I don't expect public comment. All right, public comment is now closed. Are there any qualifying questions for Eric? Okay. No public comment. Would any board member like to provide comment on this agenda item? All right, in that case, may I please have a motion to approve resolution number 25/26-01 GAN limit?
So moved.
Thank you, Vladimir. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Stella. Any further board discussion? Okay. Motion to, to approve resolution number 25/26-01 GAN limit was made by Vladimir and seconded by Stella. Since this is a resolution, I will take a roll call vote. Brian?
Yes.
Vladimir?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Stella?
Yes.
I too vote yes. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Now Eric gets to rest for a little while. Next, we have our public hearing on the sufficiency of instructional materials.
This next item is also a routine item that we bring annually to the board, with assurances that we're providing sufficient instructional materials, including textbooks, to all of our students, English learners, district. Now, this first item is a public hearing and the resolution is called.
Thank you. If anyone would like to provide public comment, please submit a speaker card. Seeing no speaker cards, Marcy Melody. Thank you. The public hearing is now open. Dr. Bosco, give a presentation.
Other
No,
than
this is
the
just
supporting
the
materials, outline each of the grade levels core instructional materials. And so this evening, we're asking the board's approval and resolution, for assurances around sufficiency of instructional material.
Great. Thank you. Are there any questions from the board? And seeing no public comment, public comment is now closed. Okay, the public hearing is now closed. Any further board discussion? Okay, thank you. We will now move on to resolution number 25/26-02, sufficiency of instructional materials.
The item is attached with the resolution this evening. We're asking for the board's approval of 25/26/02 sufficiency of instructional materials. Again, the resolution itself outlines each of the content areas and affiliated instructional materials.
If anyone would like to provide public comment, please submit a speaker card. Don't see anybody in the audience anymore. All right, are there any clarifying questions from the board? Are there any requests for public comment? Okay, seeing none, public comment is now closed. Would any board members like to provide further comment on this agenda item? No? Okay. In that case, may I please have a motion to approve resolution number 25/26-02, sufficiency of instructional materials.
So moved.
Thank you, Vladimir. I have a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Stella. Is there any further board discussion? All right, motion to approve resolution number 25/26-02, sufficiency of instructional materials was made by Vladimir and seconded by Stella. As this is a resolution, I will take a roll call vote. Stella,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Vladimir,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
I too vote yes. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone. All right. Our next item is resolution number 25/26-03, multiple subject credential.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Dr. Basco do it.
Happy to do that. These next two items are also routine items brought annually, and in this case, our resolution 25/26/03, multiple subject credential, with your approval allows the teachers in the affiliated supporting materials to teach in single subject credential areas. So for example, if I'm a teacher with a multiple subject, but I'm teaching a single subject PE course or a music course or an elective, this resolution will authorize that act.
Great, thank you. Are there any clarifying questions from the board? No? Are there any requests for public comment? No? Okay. Further, board comment discussion? Pretty routine item. Then may I please have a motion to adopt resolution number 25/26-03, multiple subject credential.
So moved.
Thank you, Vladimir. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Stella. Is there any further board discussion? No, okay. Motion to adopt resolution number 25/26-03, multiple subject credential was made by Vladimir and seconded by Stella. Brian,
Yes.
Vladimir,
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
I was gonna say Steve.
I know what
So
you're gonna do.
Hello?
Yes.
I too vote yes. Motion passes unanimously. All right, next is resolution number 25/26-04, single subject teaching credential.
This resolution, similar to the last, it's a routine item. In this case, teachers might have a single subject in a different content area than the subject that they're teaching. So they may possess a science credential, but they're teaching technology elective, or a music credential teaching the art elective. So we ask for the board's approval, authorizing those single subject credential teachers to teach in departmentalized classes.
Thank you. Is there any public comment? None? Okay, public comment is now closed. Are there any clarifying questions on this slide? Nope. Okay, any further comment? Nope. Then may I please have a motion to adopt resolution number 25/26-04, single subject teaching credential.
So moved.
Thank you, Vladimir. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Stella. Any further board discussion? Nope. All right. Motion to adopt resolution number 25/26-04, single subject teaching credential was made by Vladimir and seconded by Stella. Just to make it fun, I'm gonna call you in random order. Stella,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Vladimir.
Yes.
I too vote yes. Motion passes unanimously. Thanks, everyone. All right. Board policy updates.
All right, item 10, we have 5 board policy updates for you to consider. These will be brought back at the next meeting under consent unless there's an area that you would like me to look into. And I know Stella and I talked about one particular area today.
Yes, I would like, the board policy 6142.94 history, social science instruction to be reviewed.
Yeah.
Just to ensure, especially the first paragraph, just to ensure that, what's written there is appropriate for TK through 8. In particular, the personal finance.
Yeah, there's a whole personal finance component, which I think might be more high school oriented, so we'll just review that before it comes back to consent.
Is there any requests for public comment? Seeing none, are there any further questions, any further comment from the board? Okay, in that case, Boyd, this is not,
Yes,
not an
this is
action
just
item.
for discussion. And
Great.
then, one more, so item 11 is actually a deletion. I've been in this district, this is going on year 16, and in my entire time within the district, we have never tested or assessed and identified gifted students. This board policy is back from 2006. And it's an out of date board policy, so we're asking for you to take some time to review it, and it will come back to you as actually a board policy deletion. I think it's important for you to know that we care about students who are gifted and talented. And in our strategic plan, we really highlight the fact that we are ensuring that every student is getting their needs met and growing in all sorts of ways, even beyond academic ways. But this policy just felt very outdated. It talks about all sorts of things that haven't been in practice for a long time.
Thank you. No public comment? No. Any board comments, discussion? No? Okay, great. Then let's move on to board and administration comments. Carrie, do you want to focus off?
Sure, just a quick comment. I want to let you know at our next regularly scheduled board meeting, Melissa Powell, chief negotiator for the Los Altos Teacher Association, will be joining us. The Sunshine, the articles that we'll be negotiating this year. We recently held an interest-based bargaining training co-facilitated by the California Teachers Association, Allison Schreifler and Greg Danis, legal representation, and it was wonderful. We learned so much, and so we look forward to getting negotiations started with the LATO. We'll keep the board apprised.
Eric?
I want to thank Elizabeth for all of her hard work, helping us closing the books, and our audit team is doing a great job. And business staff. I also want to acknowledge Austin Spade. Austin is our coordinator, maintenance and operations. He has really stepped, he's on a well-deserved vacation today. Austin helps out with, veterans that were injured during the war. They have a fundraiser, a golf tournament, so he works all year to help get this fundraiser out at Boulder Ridge in South San Jose. Really a nice thing for Austin, so next time you see him, ask him about it, he'll tell you about it. It's a really nice thing. And then we had our first CACF meeting 2 weeks ago, which went really great. Getting the team back together with our monthly meetings on Wednesday nights. And then on a somber note, I want to acknowledge a former board member that I work with, Hung Wei. I work with Hung Wei, who passed away, a longtime board member in Fremont Union High School District. Really always was a very, very big supporter of mine. Her kids went to Monte Vista when I was there as a teacher, so. I was a teacher, yes, economics, imagine that. But fond memories of Hung Wei, a dedicated member of the CSBA and for school boards around. Also was on city council for City Cupertino, but I acknowledge her, she passed 2 weeks ago.
Thank you. I didn't realize how many people she touched. I know Hung Wei through Cities Association.
Yeah.
Tremendous loss.
Just one thing I wanted to put out for your own networking. So last week I attended the Chamber of Commerce hosted an interested party for the new LEAD program for the Los Altos Leadership Development Program. I will be co-facilitating that program this year with Jen Springer.
Yay.
You may know Jen Springer from all of her different things. But a great opportunity if you know people who might be interested. It's all about getting a deep glimpse into public service in a wide variety of areas within the Los Altos and Los Altos Hills community. So, yeah, from our PTAs to our school volunteers to our elected school board members, that's the first strand, but then we'll be going into public health and all sorts of other things. So if you have a person interested, we're still taking applications on the chamber website.
LEAD is a great program.
Yeah.
We did it in 2018. It's really,
It was also an alumni social too. That was fun.
Oh.
There were some alumnus
Yeah,
folks.
I was not able to go.
Stella.
I attended the back to school night at Oak and I attended a portion of the interest-based bargaining training and I saw many of you there. And thank you so much, Carrie, for inviting me. I definitely learned quite a bit.
Great.
Wonderful.
I also attended a portion of interest-based bargaining, and I want to thank Carrie for inviting us. I wish I could have attended the whole thing. It was very informative and enlightening. I think that's it.
Vladimir.
I attended both days of interest-based bargaining. Training, it's the second time that I've gone through that particular training set. I also took part in the No Kings protest on El Camino, so that was the second one we did. And I'd like to ask, previous meeting, I asked that we have an agenda item covering the board retreat. And I don't see it on as an agenda item anywhere. And our board retreat is on the 17th. So I'm interested to know what happened to the agenda item. And then the last thing is, a long time ago, this is years ago, I asked for a different ordering of public comment and board comments and that kind of stuff. And it occurred to me that public comment is closed before board members have had the opportunity to speak. So that means that members of the public don't get a chance to comment on what potentially could be a really important part of a particular agenda item. And so I would suggest that we may want to look at the timing of that thing, that's all. Or the sequencing of that item in there.
Let me just ask, is the sequencing prescriptive or do we decide on our own?
I would have to look. As long as I've been here, it's been clarifying questions, public comment, or discussion. But I understand your point. So
Yeah.
I'll have to-
Well, I have comments, but then we'll be discussing something not on the agenda,
Yeah.
so I would ask that we bring that to the
Yes.
agenda, if we would like to.
You disagree with me?
I'm inclined to, but, all right, we should have a discussion that's agendized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Discussion, that's fine.
Fine.
Maybe we'll put on the next agenda. Anything else, Vladimir?
Well, there's still the open item of the agenda for the board retreat.
So Shally and I met to kind of plan out the agenda. You had sent some comments to me, and so we reviewed your comments and incorporated what we could in that day we had.
My understanding of at least board policy is that members of the public and board members can suggest the agenda item. It's not an agenda item to be reviewed by the board president and superintendent, it's agenda item. And so I'm just wondering, will we be able to discuss the agenda for the board retreat before the board retreat or the board retreat?
We will not. So if we have another one, just with this as our last meeting before that retreat.
Okay, so that causes a problem, right? Because board policy says that we can ask for an agenda item. And
Are you calling for a special meeting before the board retreat? That's the only way that we can do it.
no,
Brian?
I attended Santa Rita and Egan back school nights, which were nice. I also showed up very late for the LAF PTA social. It was nice to see PTA folks. And also, participated in interviews of architectural firm candidates to work on the projects at the Block and Egan campuses. So it was nice to see a lot of good people with good ideas. And then also attended the lead alumni event and more prospective students. But just to expand on that, because there were some speakers who emphasized that we want good governance in Los Altos, not just in LASD, but in the city of Los Altos, the various cities around. We need more than 0 qualified candidates, ideally more than 1 qualified candidate. And 2026 is gonna be the first election cycle where both the city and the high school districts are by area rather than at large. So everybody who's listening to this or interested should go look at which areas are up in 2026 and think if you know good people who live there who might be interested in finding out more. The first session is not till October 8th, so there's plenty of time to get applications in. But it's gonna be one of the, I can't remember which speaker said this, but one of the speakers talked about the fact that Campbell, I think it was, had their first by area elections and there were no competitive races. A majority of, I can't even remember whether it was the school board or the city, but a majority of that body just walked on unopposed. Hopefully, they're all good people, but we need to make sure that we have good citizens interested.
Very good point. Right, I attended the PTA council meeting and challenge team as well. And I wanted to just call out that this Thursday at noon, the Santa Clara County School Boards Association is hosting a special noon meeting with James Williams, who is our county executive. It's a chance for school board trustees to advocate on behalf of our schools and our public school system. Because there's a lot of cuts that are coming from the federal government that deeply impact our county. And where the county is going to make cuts or what it's gonna prioritize in funding. I really think that school board trustees and superintendents need to have the voice at the table. So that will be this Thursday.
So could you repeat the date and time?
Yes, it's September 11th, which is this Thursday at 12 o'clock. Trustees probably would have gotten an email or a calendar invitation from Bonnie Mace. So, but if you haven't, let me know. Okay, great. And with that, we are adjourned.